Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters. And yeah, I guess we'll just kind of hop right into this and hop on the viral hate train for everything that's been going on around this situation. Yes, we're talking about the Wonka viral experience. I think that's what everybody's kind of deeming this as. I've been following this. This is not something we would normally talk about on our channel, but now there's a reason to because they're making a horror movie out of it. And like I said, I've been following it, and I know about it. I thought it was pretty funny. I mean, it sucks for the people who fell for it, but when you look at the marketing for this stuff and you look into everything that led into this, it's just kind of like, well, what did you expect? I mean, this is just a wild story through and through. And it's kind of taken the internet by storm over the last week. Luke, tell me, when did this first pop across your radar? Not necessarily the movie, we'll talk about that, but the whole experience.
When it all first happened, I saw a passing article of it, and I clicked on it and just kind of, perused through it. Didn't really pay too much attention to it. I just thought it was kind of one of those interesting stories, that you'll just file away and completely forget about. So I didn't really think too much of it at the time. Certainly didn't think we were going to be getting a film out of it. So, I didn't put too much stock into it. It was just kind of one of those AI generated, of course, and then you see the images of what it actually looked like inside the place. And it was like, not surprising, in terms of misrepresentation, I guess. So, it wasn't really something that I thought about too much until, of course, the news today.
Yeah, and that news is that we are getting a horror movie based off of it, entitled The Unknown, which, if you know anything about the situation, pretty much to give you the very small, like, oh, we're throwing this into a little pot here for you. It was essentially a scam. That's what everybody's kind of labeled it as, because it was an AI generated script, AI generated marketing from this company called, like, the Illuminati Experience, whatever. I'll throw it up on screen here. But yeah, basically this guy sold a bunch of tickets for this huge, extravagant Willy Wonka time chocolate factory, whatever the hell you want to call it. It was supposed to be this big event. You go there, get candy, have fun, basically live through the film of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And it wasn't that. It was a ramshackle together, people getting their scripts the day of or the night before, and it's all gobbledygook. And the one thing that everybody seems to be taking away from this is this character of the unknown, which is what this film is centered around. It is this creepy chocolate maker who will steal you and take you away, I guess, is what the computer came up with. And yeah, they've decided to go forth and make a full-blown film centered around the unknown. Yeah, I gotta say, I have been very supportive. I think both of us have been supportive of kind of these public domain horror films. I think when you have a couple things like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and the thing the folks over there are doing, and even the, to a degree, the Steamboat Willie stuff, these are fun. They can be fun. They can be goofy. Now we're dipping into viral trends becoming horror films. This is where I'm gonna have to draw the line. This is fucking dumb. Why are we wasting our time making this into what is ultimately going to be, and I don't care how harsh I sound, a junk horror movie?
For me, I guess I don't necessarily understand a ton of the outrage for all of this. I think I don't know necessarily the premise that they're going with here. If we're, focusing on this chocolate maker that lives in the walls and can steal you, okay. I mean, I suppose there's room in the horror realm for it. How many Sharknado films do we have? I think horror does jump on pop culture trends, and that's just the nature of the beast. So, if we're going to zero in on this, hey, you look at the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, I would say it never fully leans into horror. There's certainly horror elements to it. And I think that sort of film can be spun into a very lucrative and expansive lore in terms of, that horror aspect of it. Now, I think in terms of looking at this, the big hamstring is going to be the budget. You're not going to get something like the Gene Wilder vehicle and get that expansive universe. So this is probably going to look like something that is very low budget. But, when you look at something like this, if we're ripping just that idea of this unknown character that's was AI generated, and we're going to create this backstory to it, which we don't really know exactly what's going to be going on here. I think I would find that a little more interesting than a Steamboat Willie spun horror film. I don't know. I think at certain points you can see horror undertones of things, and you can say, well, maybe there's more of an expansive lore here rather than here. So, for me, I know there is outrage, but hey, we have A level horror, we have B level horror, we certainly have C, D, it goes all the way down. So, for me, it's something where I understand where you're coming from. Is it something I'm excited about? Not really, but I'll see what they give us.
And I think to reiterate and clarify, my main issue is not with the fact that they're taking necessarily this character and they're giving it a backstory and they're doing all this stuff. It's just the blatancy of this being very much, we're just trying to capitalize on this trend. And I think that it's very fair. People could throw that at the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey guys. But I think that we've seen some goodwill from them recently with their trailer, and once that second film comes out at the end of the month here, we'll really be able to sit there and say, okay, at least that they, at the end of the day, really did pull a cash grab with that first film to get a budget to make the film they want to make. This doesn't feel like that to me. And the reason I say that is because if you look into this, this is coming from I don't even know how to pronounce it. Kaledonia Pictures, picture previews. It's essentially a film that is going to be set to come out later this year. So it's like they haven't even started shooting. They haven't done anything. They I don't even know if they can't even say if there's a script out, and they're already talking about that it's going to be out this year. So it's like, yeah, there isn't much behind this at all. And the story is going to be follows a renowned illustrator and his wife who are haunted by the tragic death of their son Charlie. Desperate to escape their grief, the couple leaves the world behind for the remote Scottish Highlands, where an unknown evil awaits them. I mean, that is just, what does that have to do with even anything that happened in this viral trend or anything like, or this incident? Like it seems like this was somebody had a horror movie idea, and now they're going to slap the unknown and attach it to this Wonka extravaganza that this was, and say this is what it is. Now it's the Wonka horror movie. It's like it feels way more deliberate cash grab. And I think that by the time this thing comes out, it's not going to be worth it. I don't think anybody's going to watch this. And that's really where my issue lies. It's not, at least with Steamboat Willie, at least with Pooh and everything, there is a clear, genuine effort being put behind those. This, from the offset, I can tell you this is not that.
Yeah, and for me, and I want to clarify, is I mentioned Steamboat Willie. I certainly don't have a problem with that. It's something where I think there is certainly room in the horror space for any story that needs to be told. If a creative is out there that wants to, I guess, create a story and put some sort of connective tissue, hey, I'm all for it. Now, this one, again, we only know the synopsis. We don't know too much about everything. I saw that synopsis and I was wondering how that was going to intertwine with this whole Willy Wonka experience. For me, as long as we're not kind of telling the story of this family that's going to go on this viral trip that they've seen these AI generated images and end up in this sort of random warehouse that is, very underwhelming. I think, that aspect of it would be like, I don't think that story necessarily needs to be told. I'm curious to see how they're going to apply the synopsis that they gave us and use this unknown character to it. Now, I don't know how they're going to do it, or, how they're going to intertwine these stories. So I think for that, I would have to wait and see. Now, I think as when we say late in 2024, all these production companies have these big kind of ideas of, hey, we're going to get this out. And of course, once you put pen to paper and then you get that done and then you start rolling cameras, hey, guess what? We're pushing that release date back. Now, if it's something where we were going to apply that specific scenario that just happened weeks ago, I would say, okay, this one no one's going to care about. And now you have to take that idea and you have to build off of it. So if you're able to take that grain of an idea and build off it and create something else in terms of it's not just that viral experience that we all know that just happened, then I'd say, okay, not necessarily time sensitive, as long as you're taking this and you're building off of it. Now, I don't know if they're going to build off it. If this is just a cash grab, I have no clue. So, for me, I read about it and I was like, I don't know necessarily if I'm excited about this. I wish there was that idea of Willy Wonka. Again, I feel like those horror undertones, there is a story to be told there. I don't think this is going to be that story, but I'm not necessarily in an uproar about this one because, hey, I support what the Blood and Honey guys are doing in terms of we spoke with them and hey, they took an idea, they saw the IP, they said we want to create these stories, we want to get people talking. Hey, we want to create this outrage. We know people are going to be mad about it, but it's our foot in the door and we want to be able to tell these stories. Now, if that's going to be the case, hey, go for it by all means. Do you have my attention in terms of me sitting down and wanting to watch this? Hey, you're gonna have to show me a trailer and something tangible because I can't really go off of anything other than this random viral story and then this little 2-sentence synopsis you've given me. So for me, I really don't know where I stand with this thing.
And that's fair. I mean, I think really, again, the main thing that I think people are up in arms about, and what really got me going about this is that it's just, I feel like it does take away from any legitimacy that's the other people who are making these public domain horror films are trying to build into themselves. Now I
But
get it. There's
and
Go
I
ahead.
and I just want to say, we stand on that end of our review of Blood and Honey, and how many people came into that and said, I don't support this. I don't think, there are
Mm,
different levels to this stuff where it's, people don't support what the Blood and Honey guys are doing because it's a sensitive character. So there's always this kind of, it depends on where you lie with this type of stuff. So there's always that kind of dichotomy in terms of, um, you know, I support this, but whoa, now I don't, so like for me, it's hard to kind of really draw the line anywhere with, especially in the horror space.
sure, but I mean, I think the thing that this is like worrisome for me is that if we're going to start going off viral trends now, what is going to stop anybody from taking any generic horror script and just saying, "Oh, well, we're going to change two elements of this, and now this is based off, or this is this movie to get eyes on it." It's just going to turn into, we'll have some stupid viral trend happen in 2 months, and then someone's going to make a horror movie around it. I feel like it's going to even quicker oversaturate this market and really start to make people look at these. It's just going to make everything like start to look down on horror again. I feel like after a while, I feel like you're going to start to have too many people, because we got to think we're horror fans, but we also have to think about the generic casual audience who is probably going to find this on a streaming service and think, well, what the fuck is this? Like, why are they making movies like this? And then you're just going to start to alienate more people. Like, I know that's a risk we take with the Blood and Honey thing, but again, I think that those guys at least are taking a stab and making something more tangible, more at least fun than just taking a recognizable thing and slapping that onto a generic script.
I mean, it's all relative, I think, in that sense, where I'm kicking myself because I'm forgetting the viral trend. It was a few years ago where it was, they said it was like some figure that was like convincing people to, commit suicide. And I forget what it was called, but I'll have to look it up. It was Momo or something. I forget
Mm,
what exactly it was called. But, anytime that these viral trends come out, then a month or two, yes, certainly not. Usually the trajectory is a little bit longer, but, it's one of those things where, hey, we can probably look over the past 5-6 years and pick out so many different viral trends that have eventually become films. And even to bring up that point of, the general audience looking down upon horror. Hey, we're not new to this space. It's always been that way. How much did they switch the, Silence of the Lambs is a thriller. It's not horror. Once we start talking about that movie actually getting, nominated for awards. So, I think it's all relative in that instance where it's kind of like, hey, people looking down on horror is not necessarily a new trend. And, I think Blood and Honey came out, it did not affect any sort of elevated horror coming out, and that it's treated with more gravitas than what we do see with these kind of films that are more offshoots of already established property. So, for me, again, I don't know necessarily if it's going to hurt too much of anything. We've seen a lot of films with based off viral trends, and I think a general audience is going to look down on horror whether we have more viral trend films in the horror space or not.
Okay, well, that's where I draw the line. We're gonna have to end the podcast here. You have stepped over a line I cannot cross. I will not defend the Willy Wonka unknown horror film. No, I'm just fucking with you. It's I get what you're saying, and I think maybe right now it's just I'm a little bit more sensitive to this just because of this of all things. Like I would have honestly been more accepting of like the Grimace trend from last summer becoming a goofy horror movie. This just I don't know. There's something even more soulless to this, and I think the only reason the Grimace thing I think stands out to me a little bit is because there was a lot of genuine fun to be had there, but there was also a lot of really creative little videos that people made. They actually showed a proof of concept there. And you're right, we don't have a trailer. We don't have anything here. So it's just the sentence synopsis. So I think overall I will need to see something before I can fully make my decision. But right now, I don't see this as being necessary. And I don't usually err on the side of negativity, but I think I'm gonna sit there for now. I think I'm just gonna say I'm gonna put my little shields up and I'm gonna sit here. So you
No,
can
I
be
mean,
the
and that's certainly fine. We can all have our certain opinions. I'm not mad at it. It's something where the unknown is the unknown. I don't know what they're gonna do
I don't even
here.
think they know what the unknown
Yeah.
is. So.
And hey, I'd have to see a trailer to really judge this thing. If you want to take this grain of an idea and build upon it, if that's what they do, hey, man, go for it. Now, does that necessarily mean I'm going to watch it? No. But if it's going to be out there and it's going to, make you happy, and this is going to add to, I don't know, Tubi's library of D-level horror movies, then hey, by all means, have at it. But I understand that people aren't happy about it, but again, we've had so many viral trends that have turned into film, so we'll have to wait and see on this one.
Really? Because name 7. How about that? Go ahead. Name
I
7. No, I'm just fucking with you. I see what you're saying, and I get it. I'm curious to see what you guys think. I think that's really where I want to see where everybody's heads at. I know there's been a lot of vitriol already about this. I am certainly not the happiest about it, but I think Luke is here to keep us a little bit level-headed and let them cook, let them see what they can do. And hey, if we end up getting sent a screener and we end up watching this, and I actually do find some enjoyment in it, I will be the first person on here to say, "Hey, I was wrong." So because it would not be the first time you used it not too long ago in a video where you said think about how I was looking at Barbarian. I thought Barbarian looked generic. I thought that was stupid. Ended up being my favorite horror film of 2022. So not saying that this is the same level, but I guess
not at all.
yeah, I'll sit there. So let us know down below, guys, what you guys think of the Wonka unknown horror film. Is this something you're looking forward to? Do you think because we've opened the door to things like Steamboat Willie and Pooh, Blood and Honey, that this is just the next evolution? This is the natural progression, or are you a little bit more like me and thinking, okay, this is where I draw the line. I will not choose to support this project. I'm very curious to see what happens here. Who knows? Maybe this will be the only story we get out of this, and the project will die, and then that's it, because we got a whole year to wait. We'll see. And like Luke said, release dates do get pushed back, so who knows? Who really knows? But other than that, guys, we got a lot of great stuff on the channel. We just checked out a really good movie called Frogman. You guys should definitely check that one out. That was fun. As well as some other great videos out there on the channel right now, and some more to come. Man, our docket is busy this month, so keep your eyes peeled. We got a lot of fun stuff on the way. But until next time, I am Dylan Newell.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, stay scared.
Do the horror shit, gonna do it live. Cause Splattercast kick it every day they live. Splattercast, gonna slash your ass. 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 Splattercast, gonna slash your ass.